Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another Run Pure update. PGA is back in full swing and our members have been crushing it with all of the great content we've been putting out. And speaking of crushing it, we had some monster hits this past weekend thanks to our guy Sepp Straka, who was one of AP's top picks for the Honda Classic. The Discord was overflowing with big wins this weekend, including a monster shipper by JN Gendry 912, who won over $275K on DraftKings. AJG 12991 pulled in $100K on DraftKings as well, and of course, AP himself rode Straka to a $50K win to cap off a great PGA weekend for Run Pure Sports. We'll be producing PGA content throughout the week, both free and premium, including main slate and showdowns. So make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on those notifications so you don't miss out when we drop any content. And speaking of PGA, we are 1 week away from the Players Championship, one of the biggest events of the year. So let's recap last year's event when BigT took down the PGA Millie Maker.
Anytime I can get 4 par 5s with Bryson, I'll take Bryson still. I'll take my chances, but I'm taking JT at 20 to 1. I don't even care that we like the same dude. I gotta find something in the mid-range here. Let's see.
Take Burns, you take Connors.
Yeah, definitely. I want Connors. I'm taking Sergio at 80 to 1 for my mid-range. Harmon's 225 to 1. Dylan Smith just made fun of me. Sergio, yeah, he's 80 to 1. Dylan Smith, stop. Chris Myers says Big T is going to take advantage of himself tonight. That is not true either. The wife is waiting for me. I guarantee that. So stop.
Shit, wife's waiting for you.
She text me during the show asking me when I'm coming up, so stop.
Sign up today for a premium subscription to Run Pure Sports and take advantage of our combo deal with SaberSim to dominate in PGA as well as other sports this year. Access our content for all sports in addition to SaberSim's revolutionary DFS optimizer and projection system for one low monthly price. That's it for this week. As always, we will be back for more. Make sure you guys keep an eye out on Twitter. I've been giving out some PGA winners myself. But with that being said, make sure you do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a new NASCAR show debuting this Sunday, but in the meantime, let's keep running pure.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I'm here with Hoop. I'm here with DC. Back after a fun slate with DC and Big T yesterday. We're on to this one, though. Let's head on over to you, Hoop. How is your Thursday going? How are the golf sweats going as well? And, how are you feeling about this slate?
Yeah, golf's going pretty good. My final decision was to either go all in on Jon Rahm or go Jon Rahm and Rory. And then thank God I went Jon Rahm and Rory because, Rory obviously looked phenomenal to kick things off this morning. So it's going well. I mean, it's quite the sweat. I mean, obviously you got the 4 days and I was winning like $280,000 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No. Let me get that. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and get to Sunday, and I got completely dusted. So you can't get too excited in the old PGA DFS streets. But another good start, and a lot of the key plays for us have done quite well so far.
Yeah, that can definitely be quite frustrating, but that's PGA DFS. That's how it is. I mean, Jordan Spieth. I don't know if you remember that one that was the Masters. Whichever one he got like the +4 on a hole. Everyone with Jordan Spieth when he was chalk just got absolutely dusted, and then went from first to like fifth. It's how it goes. It's just leaderboard changes quickly in PGA DFS. Let's go over to you, DC. And we talked yesterday. It sounds like you have a game. I got you a game booked for the basketball streets. You versus Uncle Dunkle. So what's your thoughts? How are you feeling with your competition here?
It's hard to know when you've never seen a guy play ball. I never even met the guy. So you don't know the level of athleticism he's bringing to the court. You don't know the level of skill. Now I do have, a few birdies, including yourself, Mangone, chirping in my ear about Dunkle's ability. And I will say I like my chances, but listen, I've lost plenty of bets before. You all know that. And I always like my chances. So we shall see when we get on the court. But I'll get some practice. I'll head over to the local school courts and get some shots up in the next couple of weeks. I'm getting out there and getting in shape for a couple hours a day. I can just transfer that to the basketball court I think 5 to 10 hours on the basketball court between now and the party could do me some good. So I do like my chances.
Mangone, are you backing Dunkel?
No, I'm backing the guy who's got stamina. Like that. That's
Okay,
at least I know
D-
that.
You're on DC side.
Yeah, if I have to pick a side, I don't have like this strongly or anything. I think I like Dunkel.
Yeah.
I think talent-wise, Dunkel might have DC beat, but I think the stamina is going to win out. But I don't think it's a big enough gap where I think DC takes it down. I really do.
Has there been any like outside action?
Okay, so I was gonna say, listen, there's some famous footage out there of me getting rejected. I believe it was in the Bahamas by Mr. Al Smizzle. Very embarrassing video. It's
in
kind
cargo
of
shorts.
My internet life. But listen, that version of DC was coming off a very serious ankle injury. He wasn't running 1 mile, much less the 10 miles I got out. Easy casual 10 miles in the Denver sunshine today. So yeah, I think I'll be ready, and I think I'll maybe surprise a few people with DC's basketball skills. We'll see.
Did anyone else like place a bet though on either side yet, or just
I've been getting some action over here. So
it got booked last night. I don't know DC.
Yeah.
How many bets have been booked for you?
I'm booked with Dunkel and Joey Work. Joey Work backing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I know I'll be able to pick up action day of, but I wanted to see if I could get in early. I mean, I'm a DC backer. I mean, you've had a lot of.
I would get in early.
Well, I'll try. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. Maybe I can get some Big T bucks on it. Big T, he maybe he'll throw around a few dollars.
He likes to fade DC. I understand. That's cool.
Yeah, he is a fader of DC. I'm a backer. I mean, the fight with Siege. I was the first. I mean, that actually pissed me off because I had legitimate action on you in that.
There, I can't give details, but the boxing talks have been rekindled.
Whoa, that's big news.
I did not bring it back into the fold, but there's some little bit of negotiating going on behind the scenes with a legitimate, pretty legitimate like production. It could potentially be. So I can't say much more than that. But there's a chance.
Big news.
Yeah, we'll see.
Probably
won't happen, but there's a chance.
Yeah, I'd still bet that it doesn't happen.
Oh,
but I hope it does.
But
what was the last pullout reason? Was it? What was it? It was unhealed scar tissue from injury, like from a childhood injury, right?
I believe it was a car accident when he was like 17 years ago, and his shoulder is still messed up, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Well, I'm definitely excited if that does happen. That'll be a lot of fun. You did mention Joey Work, and Joey Work, if you are watching, and I've had some other people, post some stuff. That you see that Tristan Thompson video servicing, people say that's my jump shot, and it's like, listen, if you want to post that, go ahead and post it, make fun of me, but when I ask you to slide in, you better slide in. People aren't sliding. That's my issue I have. So
I slid. I gave you a fair number too. Like and you backed it up. Yeah. Yeah,
Luke, you're the one, but there are people, even our Discord chat, they post it. I hit him with the reply and I say, slide on in. And then
if you're going to talk,
you're on Rubio over Mangone.
Yeah, I gave Mangone 3-1, which is probably a bad. Honestly, now that I look back on it, it's probably a bad bet on my side. Two guys that don't play basketball. I saw Mangone at his lowest point last season. That was that was a year ago. So athletically, it had to be his lowest. I'd assume it was his lowest point. I mean, you're willing to admit that, right?
I mean, if it wasn't the lowest, it's pretty low, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't a shot, but those are facts. And I probably gave a bad number, but I'm curious to see what happens.
And what about you, Hoop? Is this JSU the match versus JSU? Is that going to happen?
Sounds like it's on the way. If it's on the whiteboard, it's going to happen. So I mean, it's one-on-one basketball. There's a lot of ways you can go about getting a victory. I know he's a gym guy. I go to the gym 5 days a week. So if he's playing the angle or he thinks he's in better shape than me, that's not the answer. I got to have probably 10-inch height advantage. So I mean, if I can't win that game, I mean, I'm probably packing up and heading back to Michigan, to be honest.
I feel like you should be able to DM up pretty good with the size advantage. You're in shape.
Yeah, exactly. So if I can't win that game, it's I'll pack the bags and my weekend will be over. It's a stay or leave type matchup for me, to be honest.
Loser goes home, literally.
Loser goes home.
That's like the old WWE days. The loser go home match.
Yeah. Yep. No, it'll be fun though. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's gonna be a good time. Sounds like we got some matchups going. There'll be cornhole action, poker. You got to watch out for Snyder, DC. I mean, I know you're a big poker guy, but Snyder claims to be the best post flop player in the country. So, very sneaky out there.
That's quite the claim. Quite the claim from Mr.
Snyder. Snyder was he had some drinks and he was very confident in his poker game, and the cards were favorable to Snyder, and he let you know about it.
That was when Snyder might have to do a little heads up challenge, best of three, like the CPC days. We'll see.
He would love that. That was when Snyder wasn't as talkative, right? He was still kind of coming out of his shell. And at that party, he was talking though when the drinks were flowing. At that,
and imagine what we're gonna get this year. You know, if that was
I could play a little poker myself, so we'll see.
Yeah,
that should be a lot of fun. We got in the chat. Johnny Parlay says he'd slide in. So slide in, Johnny. I'm waiting. It's really quiet. I just want to get those DMs slid in there. Bart says the WWE cage match, loser goes home. Yeah, looks like what it might be for Hoop. He's got to get his cornhole in ahead of time. And Hoop, me and DC, we're flying together on the same flight actually out of Denver. So we can maybe compare some notes on the basketball stuff before we get out there and help each other out.
Little collaboration, yeah. We'll coach each other up a little bit, talk some strategy. I like that. Might be a little advantage for you guys.
I'll have been going good and toasted by the time we get off the plane in Cincinnati.
Yeah, he could go the other way. DC just could get the beverage card out, free drinks on DC, and
you got Uncle T scooping you guys up from the airport.
I don't know. I have no.
That's what should be happening.
That would be wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, Uncle T right there at the you get out of the terminal. Uncle T's holding the little board, run pier, March Madness.
I don't know if Uncle T is going to be doing that because he wants to smoke against me in basketball. He is like firm about this. I tried to just be like, no, Uncle T, it's okay, but I'm playing Uncle T as well. Hoop. I got
doesn't
two
mean
matches.
He can't pick you up from the airport.
What?
Just because he wants to smoke in basketball, he can still give us a ride.
Well, I mean,
Uncle T playing basketball. He's been like sidelined for 7 months with it. I've heard about this elbow injury for like a year now. Like, how's he playing hoops?
Yeah, I'm just telling. Uncle T feels confident. You might be able to catch him being too confident in the cornhole pit. Like if he beats me, the confidence will be through the roof there. So
the viewers are probably can't wait for this party to be over and done with. So the first 15 minutes of that show.
Yeah, that's a lock.
Yeah, you're definitely probably right about that. Well, listen, if you know that, slide in later to the show. But hit that like, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out a ton. We really, really appreciate it. Also want to mention the members never win segment that we always like to talk about. Jay Gingery, he actually tuned into the bet show last night. Listen to some PGA stuff. He tuned into the PGA premium show as well. He won $275K in PGA. AJG won $100K in PGA. And then AP, $50K in PGA in the single entry $200 contest. So congrats to all those guys. Huge PGA weekend at Run Pure Sports. But we could dive in. We got to talk about some NBA, and we got a nice little slate today. Some decent prize pools as well. It's a 7-gamer. And I think we'll kick it off here with the Hawks and the Bulls. And this is definitely a game that we need to be watching. Starts at 7 o'clock. Starts on an island. And Trae Young, I believe, I don't think anything's changed with that, but he's didn't go through shoot around. I think he got some work done. So there's a chance he plays. He's questionable. We should get this news by the time we're on air, or at least an update. So we'll be able to break that down if anything big changes. But Hoop, let's go to you first. The Atlanta Hawks, if there's no Trae Young, the slate just changes. Like you're going to be jamming Hawks in your lineup, right? DeLon Wright at 3-1. If he starts, he's a great play. Point guard, shooting guard eligible. Bogdanovich, shooting guard and small forward. He's 6K. Herter 4-6. Hunter 4-5. Gallinari 5-1. Gets a little bit of a usage bump. Even Capella 5-9. He's been someone that's been playing because John Collins hasn't really been playing. So and he's kind of busted a little bit. So there's a lot to like here, a lot to digest. And on that opposite side, the Bulls, they're a team that we haven't really been playing that much, but the prices are starting to come down some, but I don't know if it's enough. So 231 total. Bulls are 1.5 road favorites. What are you doing here with this game? Because this is definitely one that's going to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a news thirsty slate. Like we need something. We need like a big name to sit. There's not a ton of value that's lingering out there. If Trae Young does sit, that's good and bad. Like it's the first game on the slate, so we get the value, but everybody gets the value and everyone's going to play the value, and it's value that would be tough to avoid. So, I mean, if he sits, like you got Herter, Hunter, Gallinari, Bogdanovich, maybe even like DeLon Wright. All these guys get like massive boosts. They'd have massive ownership on the slate. If Trae Young does play, I think he's a fine option tonight in this game. I mean, it's a 231 total, relatively close spread at 1.5. So we're going to get the news, obviously, 7 p.m. Eastern game. On the Bulls side, just, we talk, it's like sucks to come out here and be super repetitive with a lot of these teams, but that's just kind of, what it is. Like with the Bulls, they're a tough team to play in DFS when all of these guys are healthy and priced where they're at. The only guy you are getting a price break on, though, is Zach LaVine at 8K, who I think is a fine option, in tournaments. If Trae Young does play and you like Trae Young, I don't mind playing him with, Zach LaVine and hope for that little back and forth type scenario. Javonte Green was a guy that was pretty steady for a while. He's fallen off. Can't really play him as a value option. But, the Trae Young news dictates this entire slate, like you said, officially listed as questionable. If he's in, I think he's a fine option. If he's out, there's like 6 Hawks guys that become super popular plays on this slate, and rightfully so. And it's, a situation you really can't avoid because we don't have the value on the slate as it stands right now. So you kind of got to wait on the Hawk side, but on the Bull side, probably just LaVine for me.
Yeah, definitely not too interested in those Bulls. I will say, if you want to get unique tonight, no one's rostering Tristan Thompson after that video surfaced. So you could play him if you want to be unique, but that's a terrible idea. Do not do that. DC, what are you doing with this game? Because 231 total, it's definitely one that you got to consider, but we definitely need this news. So how are you handling it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to repeat everything that Hoop said about the Hawks. I think he kind of nailed it all. You take Trae Young out of the equation with John Collins already out, and you look at a Titan rotation, cheap price tags everywhere. There's going to be multiple Hawks if Trae Young sits that end up on the winner. I think like 3, maybe 4. If I had to rank them, this is again all assuming Trae Young sits. I actually think Bogdanovich is my number 1 at 6K, going to take over, in my opinion, lead playmaker. And his numbers with Trae Young and John Collins off the court just go through the roof. He might not even start, frankly, which would make him even sneakier, but he's probably going to get 30, 32 minutes. So he'd be my favorite. You also get to the point where, like, Okongwu also out, right, for Atlanta. I haven't been on the Capella train, but if you take Trae Young out of there now, like DeLon Wright can't play alongside Trae Young. Everybody's got to kind of move down the spectrum, and you take the backup center out of there. Capella might be forced into big minutes finally here, so he would be interesting. The whole Hawks team basically becomes in play. It is what it is. We'll see what the news is, but I don't know about you guys. I don't think he's going to play. I mean, he missed shoot around. He was horrible against Chicago last time. It seems like they're going to give him the day off to me. So just be ready for that, because you might have half an hour, right, to basically make your whole roster, because there's going to be a lot of Hawks in it. So you do need to be prepared for that news.
Yeah, he was at the shoot around and got treatment. So like, I think it's more up in the air than sometimes it is. But I do think, yeah, there's definitely a chance he sits. And if he doesn't, got to be ready for this. It's definitely going to be big news. We'll be in the Discord chat updating that. Cash chart will get updated. The core plays, the Up the Lock show, they will definitely be talking about that because it's the biggest piece of news on the slate. Let's head on over to the next game. Let's talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and the Boston Celtics. And Hoop, just when I say, oh, the Suns are the Celtics, right? The Suns, they were never hurt last year. And the Celtics, they haven't been hurting forever. Jaylen Brown goes down. Jaylen Brown is out. We got some opportunity here to roster these guys, like Derek White at 6.3K, Marcus Smart, 6.4, Jason Tatum at 10K. I mean, these guys are definitely in the conversation today. Robert Williams at 6'9" feels a bit expensive at the center position, and Al Horford at 6'1". You can argue with Jaylen Brown there. Al Horford could easily soak up some usage. So there is some opportunity here to play these starters with Jaylen Brown out, especially because when you had Jaylen Brown in there, there was a lot of staggering going on. So there's going to be a ton of usage to go around. What are you going to do here with the Celtics? And then do you have any interest in some Grizzlies as well?
Yeah, so I mean, Celtics, our team talked about all season long, similar to the Bulls. Like when all their guys are in there, just a tough team for fantasy purposes. It seems like they've been priced appropriately all season long. Well, now you take out one of those main guys and Jaylen Brown, and we're going to be willing to come here. Jason Tatum, I think, is a fine spend-up option in this spot. I mean, it's a super appealing game. A game both teams are going to want to win. 224 total. Boston favored by 2.5, so we got a nice total and a close spread. So, Jason Tatum as a spend, I think, is someone to consider tonight. I think I prefer Derek White over Marcus Smart. Derek White's a guy we really haven't played, since that trade, but he's going to be in that starting lineup. He got 28 minutes after Jaylen Brown went out. I imagine, he's going to be a mid 30 minutes guy in this role with Brown out. So solid option. Al Horford, I think, is probably my third favorite. 35 minutes last game. Again, in a game that they're going to want to win. And, a lot of times we're a little wary of the minutes with Al Horford, but this seems like a spot where the minutes should be of no concern. Robert Williams, I think, is a decent play as well. 35 minutes for him. They're starting to tighten this rotation a little bit, and that's good for fantasy. And we have the injury as well. So, I'll rank these guys, Tatum, probably Horford, White, and then Robert Williams. On the Grizzlies side, not a ton. I mean, obviously you can play John Morant. He's phenomenal. If you have lineups where you have a lot of Celtics, using John Morant as your spend, I think it is a fine option. If you're making 150 teams, definitely include him. Jaren Jackson, a fringe play, I think, at 6.2K, just volatile performances, definitely more like GPP type play. And then, Steven Adams keeps having these big performances, and Boston's going to roll with two bigs probably for the majority of this game. Him at 6.1K, I don't think is the worst play either. But really, this game is all about the Celtics and, an opportunity to finally play these guys with Brown out.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Celtics. They're willing to go big. So are the Grizzlies. They'll do the Jaren Jackson with Steven Adams. They'll play Brandon Clark a ton too. So they'll even bring in Killian Tilly if they need the size. So they definitely have enough size where I think you're going to see them go big and stay big. You're not going to see them like jamming Grant Williams and like Peyton Pritchard, all these guys. And Daniel Tice could even get in there too and get some runs. So ultimately, this is a game I think I agree with you. It goes big. I don't really love John Morant at that price tag, but we know what his upside can be. I prefer Jason Tatum. He's probably like one of the better spend ups on this slate. DC, we'll go over to you. How are you handling these Celtics? Because it feels like a while since we played them. So how do you rank these guys? And are you interested in any Memphis options as well?
Yeah, I think the Celtics obviously interesting. Like guys like Derek White, look like a pretty good play, but how much upside is there really at 6,300, right? Is White putting up 35, 40 plus all that often? I question that a little bit. I think he's going to share that role with Marcus Smart. The Celtics big men, Horford and Williams, right? They're still kind of competing for minutes and stats, basically. So to me, Tatum, I think Hoop ranked him number one among the Celtics too. I agree with that ranking. I think he is the one you want. I think he's the one that's going to pick up that scoring. They kind of have everything else, right? Like they've still got the strong defense, the big men. They've still got two guards that can distribute in Smart and White. What they don't have is scoring. And so I do think Tatum is the guy to play. I think he's going to have heavy usage. I don't know if do you guys have like his individual matchup? Normally I wouldn't really look at this for like a power forward type, but I do think it matters tonight because Tatum going to be relied upon to score, right? That's what you want out of him. Jaren Jackson, I assume, is going to be the guy on him. I don't know if you guys have strong opinions on his defense. I assume not that great though, right? Like doesn't seem like the smartest player in the world. So I think Tatum, if that's true, can cook him and should get going. So Tatum, my favorite guy there. Smart, Horford, probably second and third.
Well, one thing Tatum's great at is getting into, Jaren Jackson. He's great at getting into foul trouble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Tatum can just kind of, take him down and take him out back early in the game, get him in foul trouble, and just kind of do his thing all game is what I expect from Tatum in this one.
Yep, and the chat let me know. I didn't even know it's Jason Tatum's birthday, so that's why you had to have ranked him number one. Hoop. DC.
Yeah,
it's got to be the birthday narrative. Of course.
When you already love a guy and it's his birthday, I mean, I'll take a little extra there, especially for a pure scorer, right? Like, come on now.
Yeah, and the Celtics are favorites too. I mean, they are at home, but hey, Memphis is a good basketball team, and obviously Vegas is taken into consideration for sure. I do think the Celtics are in a good spot here. You got to like some of these options. And I agree with what you said, DC. Like Jaylen Brown missing, it's not like the end of the world because they already have enough defense. If you took another one of those guys out, then I think you'd see it like start to fall apart more. I think with just losing him, yes, of course, they're better with Jaylen Brown, but I don't think it's going to hurt the defense enough. I think they have enough guys where they're able to get the job done, where it just won't break them completely, and they're able to still play good defense, where I'm not really going to target any of these Memphis guys. I mean, it has not been fun targeting the Celtics, and I'm not going to start now. I don't think it's the right time to. So going to be out on that. Guys, we got like 340 watching. We got 108 likes. So get the likes in there. Also subscribe to the channel because we got a PGA Showdown show tonight on the YouTube channel. I believe that's at 9 o'clock tonight. Hoop, will you be on that thing? And tell the people a little bit why they should tune in.
Yeah, I'll be on it. Me, Tambo, and Snyder, like 9:15 Eastern. It's actually going to be on the Mayo Media Network. So search that on YouTube. It's going to be broadcasted on that channel for rounds 2 and 3, and then we'll be bringing back the premium show Saturday night for round 4. So the one tonight's going to be on the Mayo Media Network. We'll get a tweet out and everything, so you guys can find the link for that. But yeah, we're going to be breaking it down, and you want to tune in because I think there is a pretty significant edge tomorrow in round 2 showdown that you're going to hear about.
Yep, so definitely tune in that show. Get those winners. You do not want to miss out on that. Let's head on over to this next game. Let's talk about the Pistons. Let's talk about the Raptors and Fred VanVleet. I thought he was in, but now he's questionable again. So we're dealing with that whole situation again. And who knows what's going to happen. This is a 7:30 start time. Raptors are a team that we like to target because we know if you start, you get minutes. So that's definitely very key with them. And the Pistons, they're a team we like to target, but not a team we like to play, DFS guys from. I mean, obviously, like Kelly Olynyk off the bench, he's getting a little bit more run with Bagley, who's been out, but I'm just not super excited about these guys. DC, let's go over to you first. Are you jamming in these Toronto Raptors with the minutes that they get against this really good matchup against the Pistons? Or is this more of a possible stay away spot with some other options on this slate?
Yeah, we'll see on VanVleet. I didn't see the downgrade, but he must have it back to questionable.
Well, they came out and said that he plans on playing, and then immediately the news changed to no, he's still questionable. So I think there was just some confusion. Must have been some confusion in the official injury report.
I mean, he's obviously just dealing with some sort of nagging injury, right? What is it, tendonitis or something in his knee? Where of course he could play through it if it was a playoff game or whatever. But they're trying to get him healthy. So who knows with VanVleet? I think it's just how it feels when he warms up for the game, most likely. So we'll see on him. If he sits, you got to look at the Raptors again. I mean, Scotty Barnes doing it pretty much every night when VanVleet has been out. Obviously, OG Anunoby out as well. Malachi Flynn steps into that starting point guard role for Toronto. I bring up the tracking numbers. He's near the top of those lists. He's going to be if he starts for VanVleet is out. He's 4,200. Just play him. I think he's very, very likely to get 30 plus fantasy points at that price. So I think he would become close to a lock for me, frankly. And then, I think Siakam, last game, just stupid foul trouble, but it's still a good spot for him. But Flynn and then Barnes, the biggest two I would look at, and then Siakam and Trent after that. Again, that's all assuming VanVleet sits. If he plays, I'm not going to play VanVleet himself. I just don't have the confidence in him right now. And then for me, that would pretty much take the other Raptors off the board. So somewhat similar to the Trae Young situation, right? Where I don't really want any Raptors if VanVleet is in. Kind of the same thing with the Hawks if Trae Young plays. So 2 big pieces of news there.
Yeah, DC, I'll ask you a couple questions. So Malachi Flynn, obviously if VanVleet sat, Malachi Flynn at 4-2 would be still, I think, a pretty good play. And I think people sometimes get uncomfortable saying, oh, well, he's gone up from 3K to 4-2, but I think it'd just be too good of a spot. So I think you'd want to go back to Malachi Flynn at 4-2. So give me your thoughts on that. And also Thad Young is questionable. If Thad Young sits, I kind of think this helps some of those other big men. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Pascal Siakam has not been as great over the past couple of weeks when Fred VanVleet's been out. Do you think it's because Thad Young has stolen a little bit more usage and playmaking that has hurt Pascal Siakam? Because that's something that's in my head. I don't know if it's true, but I'm wondering if that could be a nice little bump for some of these big men like a Boucher or even a Pascal.
Yeah, the big men, they still got a lot of dudes there. Obviously they have Siakam that starts at the 4 but can play the 5, and then they still got Boucher, Precious, and Kem Birch, right? So 3 centers, even with Thad Young out. So I still wouldn't be that interested in that situation, but it does. If both Thad and and Van Vliet sit. Where they're really thin is on the wing, right? So Barnes, Trent, Siakam, obviously all going to play big minutes. And then just to address Malachi Flynn, this is the same thing I mentioned. It was the second, very similar situation, in my opinion. The second Brian Goodwin start, right? So he had the first start, he played really well. And then my whole point was, if you sort by these numbers, like passes made, passes received in that game, just in the last game, right? Malachi Flynn, #1 in both passes received and passes made. Like, the players after Flynn, DeJounte Murray, Darius Garland, Luka, Curry, SGA. Like, that's the company he's in this current role with Toronto. If Van Vliet sits, it'll be how they play again tonight. I feel pretty damn confident about that. So, yeah, I think Flynn, to me, if Van Vliet is out, Flynn is the best value play on the board over all of the Hawks guys if Trae Young is out. Is how I see it right now.
All right, Hoop, what's your thoughts on the news? If it breaks, right, is Flynn the better value over some of the Hawks? And how do you kind of rank that out? Obviously, the Pistons are a team we love to target. I mean, it's a good spot for them. And the other one was a 231 total. So obviously, could be some really good value lurking. What are you doing here with this Raptors team?
Yeah, I mean, the Pistons team's easy. Like, you're just not playing the Pistons on this slate. On the Raptor side, I kind of think Van Vliet sits. Like, he's been out, and the injury, it's got to be some sort of real injury. They've been winning games. If it's borderline, I think he sits. And if he does, Malachi Flynn, just one of the best value plays on the slate. And, it's easy to say, look at the last 2 games and see the reason why. But I mean, he played 34 minutes. He played 42 minutes. Like, with the Raptors, what you're getting. Like, there's so much security here. He's been very active on the court. I just think you just play him if Van Vliet sits. I'd go right back to Siakam. He lost probably, I think it was like 3 minutes at the end of that game. He ended up fouling out. Like, he's going to play 40 minutes. He still got the 40 fantasy points. Like, if he gets his full run last game, he's closer to 50. He had that down game against the Nets. That's the game that Scotty Barnes just went absolutely nuclear, and then they ended up blowing out the Nets, so he lost a bunch of run there. Just think it's been weird situations where he hasn't really gotten there. And it could happen again with the Pistons tonight, but I'd bet on him having a good game if Van Vliet's out. Scotty Barnes as well. I mean, he's been playing very, very well. I mean, that huge game, and then followed it up with a 40 fantasy point game, and the price really hasn't adjusted all that much. And then if Thaddeus Young sits, I think you can look at guys like Precious and Boucher, and these are guys you're only looking at if Trae Young does indeed play, because like those guys are fringe plays if you have all that Atlanta value. With the exception of Flynn. Like I said, love Flynn either way. But if Van Vliet's in, you kind of scrap everything here, I think. And, maybe play a little bit of Scotty Barnes because of how well he's playing. He's still going to get the minutes. The price is still cheap. If Van Vliet's in, I'd probably be a little hesitant to play Van Vliet. I agree with DC on that. It would probably just be Barnes for me, and that would be it.
All right. Yeah, definitely need to get that news. It's going to be important. Someone else said Van Vliet is available. I mean, it's been changing back and forth. So, I mean, I was confused about it. It's one of those things. I think currently he is questionable. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens with it once we officially get it. We'll try to circle back to it if we get it in time. But again, 7:30 game. We don't know what'll happen with that one. We can move on over to the next game and talk about it. Again, another 7:30 game. So games are going to start locking early. We get 4 that lock by 7:30. Then we get an hour until that 8:30 game. We get the Heat and the Nets, and Kevin Durant is back. So that's going to shake things up because we've never seen this lineup. We've never seen the Seth Curry, Kevin Durant, Andre Drummond lineups. It's definitely going to be a different look here. Patty Mills likely takes more of a backseat, even though he's been playing terrible. So he definitely needs that. Curious to see how it all shakes out for these guys. DC, we also are waiting on some news for the Heat side, right? We got Jimmy Butler, questionable. PJ Tucker, questionable. Caleb Martin, questionable. Max Struss, where Kay Fallick is probably very upset about this. He's questionable. What are you doing here with these Heat guys? Because, hey, if Jimmy Buckets misses, everything changes, right? That's another one. Like, you could have this slate. We talked about some early news. The Atlanta guys, we could have Trae Young get ruled out. It could lock. And we don't know the Jimmy news in time. Maybe he's like grinding his way, trying to find a way to get into the game. And maybe at 7:10, 7:15, maybe Jimmy Buckets doesn't play. And then you get really low owned Heat options against this Nets team that has not been great on Kevin Durant's first game back, which I'm sure they're going to ease him in. So break this one down for me. How are you handling this news? Because I think this is a really important thing to figure out on this slate.
Yeah, all those Miami guys matter in terms of who you might look at, right? Martin, Tucker, Butler, and Max Struss. But obviously Jimmy's the big piece that really changes things. If he sits, Tyler Hero, I think is for me just, the obvious answer sometimes is obvious for a reason. He's going to come in and be the lead guy. I'm not scared of this Nets defense right now. They're not playing well. I think teams are like gearing up to beat the Nets, try to keep them out of the playoffs or give them a low seed, right? Get them out of there because they're going to come back fully healthy at some point. So I think the Nets are getting the best out of every team, which kind of makes me think Jimmy Butler ends up playing because his listed injury is left big toe irritation, which I mean,
we have a foot expert. Hoop, is that dead foot? I mean, you talk about this all the time. Left foot toe irritation. Is that correct, Hoop?
Could potentially be drop foot. I did have drop foot for about, I think it was close to a year, and the drop foot is it's like a nerve damage. So I somehow, which I have no idea, because when I went to the neurologist, he's like, I've never seen someone your age get this. So basically what happened was I damaged the nerve behind my knee, okay, and then that damage went all the way down through my foot. Could not lift my foot. So like your foot would just like dangle. So I had to wear like a brace on my foot for literally like a year. And the guy's like, yeah, just like the nerves will regenerate over time and it'll be totally fine, back to normal, like nothing ever happened. And yeah, sure enough, like within a year, I gained that like muscle back. But for an entire year, like my foot, if I just like lifted it up, it would just drop. And
drop foot, there you go.
Drop foot. Then yeah, you see
Makes
where it comes from.
Well,
but yeah,
when was this? Because I've had a bet.
This was
you and JSU. Are you recovered from this?
I am recovered. This was 5 years ago. So
okay,
I'm fully healed.
Right,
I've been healed for about 4 years. So during this time though was when all the basketball talk, me and Big T going back and forth kind of started. I was like, dude, I can't play right now. I literally can't lift up my foot. So he's always made fun of me about the drop foot.
Big T is just like, winners win. Get out there, Hoop.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, the old drop foot. I know. Big T hates the drop foot excuse, but hey, well, let's see. Maybe one day Big T will
Sounds
get
like a serious medical condition. Big
It really, yeah. I mean, it's like not like a joking matter at all. Yeah. I remember walking into the neurologist and like, holy shit, like, am I not ever going to be able to lift my foot up again? And like when I met with the guys, like, yeah, he's like, good news is, it heals on its own, but it will take a while. He's like, I've never seen this in someone under the age of like 80. I'm like, oh, all right, well, we'll see.
Did they have any idea what caused it?
Well, what I think caused it, like I'd always sit like, I don't know, like at the old house, I'd always sit like on the corner of my couch and like I kind of crossed my leg over it, but I jammed the back of the top knee into I don't know, the way I was sitting, I think caused it. So okay. Don't cross your legs. Be careful if you cross your legs, basically. Is the moral of the story.
Okay, well, I uncrossed my feet and legs. I'm ready to go. I don't want to make sure I get drop foot because I got a game in a couple weeks. I can't have the drop foot coming.
Can't risk it. Yeah, don't cross your legs for at least a couple weeks.
Yep, I got to make sure to do that. Patrick Rice says, congrats on your speedy recovery, Hoop.
Yeah, thank you.
DC, did you finish up the Heat breakdown? I mean, obviously, Jimmy Butler is an important piece of news. And like Gabe Vincent's been balling, man. And he's been absolutely on fire. So what's your thoughts here on the Heat? How are you handling them?
Yeah. Butler sits. And then if Butler sits, Vincent's an awesome play. Hero's an awesome play. I think you could play Bam. And if these other guys sit, you potentially be looking at kind of almost a Hawks if Trae Young sits situation where you kind of want a lot of this team. So, man, this whole slate, right? Just question marks everywhere, and you just don't know where to go quite yet. But yeah, if Butler's out, and then depending on how many other Heat are out, you got to play these guys. Hero, Gabe Vincent, top of my list. I think Bam Adebayo could take on a bigger role here. So yeah, I would love the Heat in that situation. If Butler plays, I think he is somewhat interesting. Kyle Lowry's still out. I expect Butler to play again. Not to revisit the foot situation there, but I do expect him to be in there tonight. And then Kevin Durant, I think, is another interesting question. Have we seen a minutes number on him? I haven't. If you guys have, I don't know. But like he's come back from serious injuries before, right? People thought like Achilles was going to end his career maybe or slow him way down. He comes back and he always looks the exact same in his first game back, just like always just ready to go. I would assume the Nets were careful with him. So would I be surprised if they limited him to 30 minutes? No. But would I be surprised if he went out and played 35 and dropped 40 on the Heat? No, it's Kevin Durant and they need him right now. This team's really struggling. So I don't know. I think he's a fun tournament play. I don't think many people are going to be willing to spend that 10-8 on his first game back, but wouldn't shock me at all to see him drop 60 fantasy points tonight.
Yeah, and if Steve Nash does give you a minutes limit or anything, I don't even trust that. That's the worst part. So
Biggie wins bad, and yeah.
If you take the risk, you're just doing it for the low ownership, and you have to understand, like, if he doesn't get the minutes, like, don't be too mad about it. It's just like that's the risk going in of what could happen. So there's uncertainty, and that's why you get the lower ownership. So it's perfectly fine to go that route if you would like. Hoop, let's go over to you. Heat is obviously a big piece of news here. How are you breaking it down? Are you playing any Nets?
Probably not on the Nets. Like I do understand the Kevin Durant thing, and I don't hate that. Like, you know what you're getting yourself into. There's a chance he plays, 28 minutes and doesn't get there. But like DC said, we've seen these situations where he comes back, he plays a ton of minutes, and he goes off, and he's gonna have whatever usage he wants when he's on the court tonight. Like he'll do whatever he wants. Like he's not gonna defer to any of these other guys. So it's gonna be him. Close spread game here. I mean, Nets are now favored by 1.5. So I don't hate it. Deep flyer in tournaments. Heat side depends on Jimmy Butler. Guys that I think are in play regardless, like Tyler Hero. I think he's in play either way with Kyle Lowry out. 35 minutes, 30, 33. He's playing a lot of minutes, playing much better. Either way, I think he's one of the best plays on the slate. If Jimmy Butler's ruled out, he's probably a lock, like an absolute lock on the slate at 6'3". Gabe Vincent, I think, is a strong play either way. He's been playing a lot of minutes. He's been very productive. He has a cheap price tag. If Jimmy Butler's out, he becomes one of the better values on the slate. Bam is the one guy, though, that I'd only play if Jimmy Butler is out. But again, all these other guys matter a little bit too, like PJ Tucker, Max Struss, Caleb Martin. Like those guys matter too in terms of the injury news here. So this game is 7:30 Eastern. We'll probably have it before lock. The guys up to lock will definitely be covering the news and how it impacts all the plays. But like I said, either way, Hero and Gabe Vincent, I think, are good plays.
Yep, definitely going to be good plays. Bam, I mean, he's 8'6", definitely something you could consider, but man, like the price, it's just up there. So it just depends on how the value shakes out, because if the value is, plentiful, then what are we going to do? We're going to jam in these studs. I talked about on that slate with Luka. If there's a lot of value, then Luka becomes a better play. Same with some of these other studs. Maybe 2 and 3 stud builds end up being more intriguing as the slate goes on. Let's move on over to the next game. Before we do that, guys, we got 408 watching, 169 likes. So let's get those likes up. We got 3 games left, Hoop. We got 15, 20 minutes left. What's the plan here on the likes, Hoop? How many do we got to get to give out those plays of the day?
Oh, we'll go aggressive today. We'll go 250. I know we can be a little more aggressive with you. When Title's the host, I don't want to be super aggressive because I know Title doesn't have the stones to hold back the plays. I know Mangone does have the stones to hold back the plays, so we go a little more aggressive, 250.
Title's got the stones in the court, but the plays he struggles with not.
He's too nice. Like he's just too nice of a guy. And
I think this was the original crew that did the first hold, right, DC? Were we the first ones that just said, okay, we're getting out of here? Is that correct, DC?
That is correct. And since then, the people almost always deliver. So I got faith in them today too.
True.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and also you're an MLB guy, right? If they're going to be hard on the players, we got to be hard on the people as well, but we're not going to be as hard as the MLB. We won't be as ridiculous, but let's get that home. I got confidence in you guys. I'm sure more people will be jumping in to watch the show too as well. So excited to break down these next couple of games. Definitely like this next one. 243 total. Spurs are 6.5 point favorites, and man, De'Aaron Fox, he was hurtful last night. He was my play of the day and did not come through. Definitely held me back. He played the 37 minutes, got 31.5 fantasy points. I do think it's a decent bounce back spot, but price tag is 8.8. That is one of the concerns. I do think people are going to be a little concerned to click on that name now, especially after yesterday. You got Justin Holiday for 1. Harrison Barnes, 6'2". He's a guy that like he's popped off at times, but I just can't really pay that 6'2" price tag. And then I talked about it. If we get more value, we might be able to play some more studs. And Sabonis at 9.7 is in play. And then Trey Lyles, 3.3K. We saw what he did yesterday, 77% owned, just burying people. Will people go back to him? He's one of the better values on the slate right now. And like, I think he's a value that gets buried if we get all those other values that open up. I think he becomes a worse play if we don't get the news. And let's say we get the news and those guys are in. Well, now everyone's like, oh, I got to play Trey Lyles. So it's going to be a real interesting way that people think about this slate. DeJounte Murray on the other side, he's 10-6, and he's like really the only guy I'm considering at this price tag right now. Maybe Alani Walker off the bench at 4-6. I wouldn't hate it. His usage has been pretty good. He seems like he's playing that 6-man role and has the opportunity to close as well. And Doug McDermott's coming back from injury, so maybe there's a chance he doesn't get the closeout run and they give it to Walker instead. So lot to like here in a 243 total. DC, we'll kick it off with you first. Are you jamming Trey Lyles back in? Let's start there.
Are you guys like me where like you play and you knowingly play a 75 to 80% Trey Lyles? Like, you know, he's going to be that heavily owned and you play him anyway and he sucks. And I just feel like an idiot when I do that. Like, you know, like we talked about it yesterday and I made the case for him yesterday myself. Like, I played him on all three of my lines, but man, Trey Lyles, like you recognize he's going to be by far the most popular player on the slate. You do it anyway. I just feel stupid for doing it. So
it's hard though. I like that. Yeah. I mean, I didn't play a ton.
So
I didn't play a ton yesterday, but like in NBA DFS, it's like if he goes out and gets that 35 that we're all banking on, it's just second nature. You move on. You don't even think about it. So don't get too hard on yourself.
No, I'm not. I mean,
but I know what you're saying though. Like the super high owned guys, you feel like a dummy when they bust, but
especially a guy who's like the fourth or fifth option on his own team, has a clear backup. You know, just obviously hindsight's 2020, but
there's no better medicine than just to run it right back.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm sort of with you, DC. I went back and forth because
I'm sure you played him, right? You're in the Millie Maker.
Yeah. So the day before, when I think like a couple days before, when he was like announced the starter, I was like, I don't think he's as safe because I thought other guys could steal that run, right? Like someone could come in, Lamb or DiVincenzo, like they go a little bit smaller. There were many routes where I think he could lose the run, and he crushed for me that one day. So I was kind of okay to go back to the well, and I felt like it wouldn't kill me. But man, looking back, it was definitely something. I saw a team that didn't have Lyles that like was really good. It was just like, that's one simple fade. Sometimes all you have to do on a slate is be like, I'm not playing the 77% guy. And if that one guy busts, you can eat so many good chalk plays around it. And like, it can really do well. So, but he was 3-3. I mean, it was just frustrating. He didn't get the run like he should have. He only played 8 minutes he played 10 minutes in the first half, which was really frustrating. I noticed. And
well, he can't really complain though. That's kind of the point, is like, if Trey Lyles loses his minutes, like, is that so shocking? You know, like he's Trey Lyles. Like, it's just anyway.
You're right. There's a reason he bounces from team to team. Right?
Yeah.
It is a Trey Lyles revenge game though. So does that
and it's the Kings, a team that we trust probably less than anybody in general. You know, who just does all kinds of crazy shit. So. I played Trey Lyles. I played some De'Aaron Fox after avoiding him all year. So maybe I'm just overly bitter at the Kings tonight. I'm probably not playing many of these guys, honestly. On the other side, though, Spurs, I mean, DeJounte Murray, I think is going to just crush this game. I'd way rather pay 10-6 for Murray than 8-8 for Fox, especially if, you know, any of these, you just need one of them, Butler, Van Vliet, Trae Young, any of them sit, there's going to be enough value. I'll pay up for Murray over Fox. And then another guy, like, I mean, bigs against Sacramento are doing work, even with the addition of Domantas Sabonis. So Jakob Poeltl, he's been crushing it. I mean, 40, 58. I know one of those games was overtime, but he's been hammering it. 7,500, I think he's got a good shot at 40 plus. So I kind of like that Murray Poeltl combination to get it going if there's enough salary relief, which there should be, and if you want to get a little different, because people don't really play Jakob Poeltl much.
Yeah, I know Hoop has played Jakob Poeltl, but I don't know if he's playing 7-5 Jakob Poeltl today. So let's find out. Hoop, interested in Jakob Poeltl and Trey Lyles. Will he be chalky again, and will he be going back to him?
I mean, Trey Lyles, I'm assuming, I guess it kind of depends on the injury news again. Like if the Hawks guy, if Trey Young's out, like I don't think people will go back to Trey Lyles. But if we're looking for value, like I think people will. In terms of Jakob Poeltl, like 7.5K. I mean, I do have some interest. I mean, the guy's just so solid. The one thing that keeps standing out to me, you look at this total here, 243. Spurs have a team total of 125. Like you don't see that all that often. So I mean, if this game does stay close, close enough, like these guys, multiple guys could go off here. So I do have a little more interest in the Spurs guys. So I mean, Murray's a phenomenal play. And then I do have some interest in Poeltl. But the secondary pieces, I think, is where it gets a little bit difficult because, again, I hate going back to this same point, but if Trey Young's out, we're playing all those Hawks guys over these secondary pieces for the Spurs. Like you're playing Herter, Hunter, Gallinari, Bogdanovich over any Spur. If, Jimmy Butler's ruled out, you're playing all those Heat guys over the Spurs. So I'm using these Spurs guys as a last resort. Like if we don't get the injury news, then Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker, and even Doug McDermott, I think would be in play. But if one of Trey Young or Jimmy Butler's out, I don't think you need to go to these Spurs secondary guys. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this one.
Yeah, and if you're one of those guys backloading and the news doesn't hit, well, then Lyle's ownership just skyrockets, keeps going up and up and up. You can obviously check that out by looking to see who's played what power forwards, right, as the slate's going on. That's definitely a way to figure that out too. Obviously a good game. It's a 243 total. Definitely one that you want to target and get some exposure to because, man, the Kings are a team that you can target, and the Spurs, they're not that great defensively either. Let's move over to the next game. We got the Warriors and the Mavericks, and we got Luka, who's 12.2K, which it's a hefty tag, but he gets a matchup against the Warriors where I think he can get the job done. He's matchup proof. We know who he is. Klay Thompson is back. Someone said it's a Klay night. I'm not sure if it's a Klay night. Don't think it's a guy that I'm getting into my lineups today. DC, we'll go over to you. This is a game that I'm not really that excited about. Like whenever I see the Mavs now, it's just like I'll play Luka or just kind of move on. And then for the Warriors, I don't really play a lot of these guys unless a bunch of them are out because that bench is just, it's kind of loaded enough where there's a lot of guys that can fill different roles where I just don't think this is a game that I'm really playing too much of.
Yeah, I mean, Luka, like when the trade happened, right? They acquired Spencer Dinwiddie, and I was pretty adamant about saying I wanted to kind of fade Luka going forward, that his usage was going to take a bump. That first game, right, against New Orleans, where Dinwiddie maybe didn't quite know the offense, also a perfect matchup. Luka goes crazy, puts up 84 fantasy points. But the next three games, this is what I expect from Luka going forward, so long as Brunson and Dinwiddie are healthy, around 50 fantasy points a game. And you see it. Look at the last two games, 5 assists, 2 assists.
I don't want to jump in, but we talked about it on that show. Those first two games, and you and I were together, we talked about it. Dinwiddie, 5 shots. Yeah. And we were on the show for that third game. We said, there's no chance this guy's going to continue to shoot 5 times per game.
Yeah.
Dinwiddie, 12, 14, 11 shots, and the last game was a blowout, so it would have been more. That's what we talked about. And yeah, I mean, kudos to you for, being the first to kind of.
I got Jalen Brunson in there too. If you look at the numbers, he's got the ball at times. So it's just, Luka's still the same player, but not the same fantasy player with these two guys next to him. So again, a tough matchup against Golden State. Honestly, again, of course, Luka can always do it against any team in any matchup, no matter who his teammates are. But a relatively easy fade for me at 12-2. I would take DeJounte Murray straight up over Luka tonight. No question in my mind. So that's where I'm in with Luka. He's a relatively easy fade for me. Not playing any other Mavericks alongside him. Warriors, I don't know. I never really play Steph Curry. He just defers too much. It just doesn't get there. I know he's got tremendous upside, but especially Klay Thompson back in the lineup, not really an option for me. I frankly don't really see anything here in this game that I really want to play, especially because we're probably going to get one of these guys out that we've talked about previously. And if that happens, I can't imagine that you're going to value in this game. So yeah, at this point, a total cross off for me.
Yep, agree. Uptown in the chat says Bertans might be a decent flyer if Kleber is out. Well, here's the thing. If Kleber's out, like, first of all, I think there's better values that we're going to get throughout the slate. Let's say like you get no value throughout the slate and then Kleber's out and you've backloaded your way and you just need a Bertans and like that punt helps you get 2 other better plays where like, sure, I think that can make some sense, but do not prioritize that. That's like the last second resort. Do not just go out there and make that something that you're going to be doing with your lineups. But Hoop, we'll go on over to you. Curry, 11.1K. Not someone that I have been playing. It's been fine. I don't think I've been burned that much not playing him. Luka, he definitely frustrated me the other day. What are you doing here with these two studs? And are you playing any value plays as well?
It's one of those games. We talk about it sometimes on here where, yeah, if it's late in the night and I want to sit down and watch a basketball game, I'm putting on, Warriors Mavericks. But in terms of fantasy, like, just don't have any interest here. Like the Luka thing, like 12 to I like DeJounte Murray straight up. Like in terms of raw fantasy points, I'll take DeJounte Murray over Luka tonight, and I'm saving $1,600. So like to me, he's out of play. The most important part about all this, though, is the point that DC made at the end. It's like, it's Luka. Every single stud in the NBA right now, these top tier guys, they can go off for like 80 fantasy points any given night. So could it happen? Yeah. If you like them, play them. But for me, it's not the route I'm going. I'm going DeJounte Murray over him. Like I said, just straight up in terms of raw fantasy points. So this game's a fade fantasy wise. I haven't been playing stuff either. You get Clay now back in the mix as well. Wiggins had that cute little run where he was going off for a while. That ended quickly. There's no cheap guys in this game for me, so I'm good fading it.
Yeah, Hoop. If me and DC go out to watch the games tonight, we're gonna be like, put Kings and Spurs on. We don't want to watch Warriors Mavericks, right?
Yeah,
we want to see the
for sure. Okay. If you have no action, if you're not playing NBA DFS tonight, this is the game to watch. All right, Warriors Mavs. Tune into that. If you're a DFS player, Kings Spurs.
No doubt in my mind.
If you're watching the NBA, just the regular season with no action, I mean, kudos to you.
Correct. That's the most important point.
Also, I don't know why you're watching the show, but yeah.
has to be tough to be the guy who watches your, Hoop. I'm sure there's people in your town, they put the Pistons on every night whenever they're on, and that'd be a painful.
God, yeah, it's been, you don't want to do that. Definitely don't do that.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go over to the next game. But before we do that, Hoop, we gotta get those likes up. We're at 223, 422 watching. We just need 27 more. The people can push it home. We got one more game left, which, hey, we might breeze past it quick. So just hammer it in now. We don't want to get to that point where we're at 245 likes and I'm signing off the air. We don't want that. That's never a fun time. That's when title caves. I don't. I just sit there and I pull that plug. So don't make me pull the plug. We want to give out those plays of the day. Let's move on over and talk about the Lakers and the Clippers. DC, I'll go to you first because, man, the Lakers, they look like a disaster out there. LeBron James is another option that, hey, he's questionable, and I assume he plays. If he doesn't play, then that's just like the sign. Like, you play poker, that's a fold that they're just folding the season for sure. But seems like he's going to keep playing. He's going to grind through it all, and this is a game that they can win. But the Clippers, they've been grinding as well. I mean, their lineup's not that good, but hey, Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, Batum, Zubac, their prices are going up. I mean, literally, I'm seeing 4 of these guys on DK are 5.9K or more, which is like crazy to think. So, but it is a Lakers matchup. Are you going to play some Clippers here? Like Zubac at 6'5", it feels too expensive, but the dude has been crushing every single night. 8K Reggie Jackson, just no thanks. There's no way I can do it. And then I'm not playing Russell Westbrook, and I'm not playing him on FanDuel either. I got to pull up the tag because I don't even know where it's at. It was 6.6 the other day. Now he is at 7K. So I still can't pull the trigger though, DC. How about you? What are you doing with this game?
We're getting kind of close to Westbrook territory, right? Like it keeps going down enough. It's like I haven't played him, and I can't remember last time I played Westbrook. But at a certain point, it's not today. But
6.6, I think you could pull the trigger. 7K, and it depends on the slate too, I guess. Like you have
also,
Gabe Vincent,
if LeBron were to sit, I don't think he will. But Westbrook will probably smash if LeBron does start sitting for whatever reason. The Lakers, I mean, they still could get Anthony Davis back, right? They obviously need Westbrook to come off the bench and be the 6th man. But I mean, they still you go into the playoffs with LeBron and Anthony Davis. I know the Lakers have sucked, and it's fun to hate on LeBron, but I don't think the Lakers are going to give up, and LeBron's just going to fold the season when you can still make the playoffs, still go into the playoffs. He and Anthony Davis both healthy is still a possibility. So I think LeBron will play a good play. I don't think you need to play him, but yeah, you can certainly. I don't feel that great playing LeBron right now, to be honest. Just not my favorite thing to do. But yeah, he's a fine play. I think it's close between him and Durant. I'll take Tatum straight up over LeBron tonight. So that's probably the direction I'm going. Not a lot of interest, honestly, on the Lakers, assuming LeBron, Westbrook both play, which I think they will. Clippers, though, I'm going to stick with my guy, Reggie Jackson. He was a little bit disappointing last game in a blowout, though. Only 26 minutes. The Clippers only won by 13 in that game. So you think, oh, the minutes weren't there just because he's Reggie Jackson, the minutes weren't there. It's not the case. He came out with like a minute to go in the third quarter. They were up by 15 or 20, and they just maintained that lead the whole way, where none of the starters ever came back in the game. Reggie Jackson's still going to give you 35-plus minutes in most scenarios. And you look at what he's doing on a per-minute basis ever since the Clippers made trades and lost guys, he still looks awesome. So Reggie Jackson, especially on FanDuel, 6,900, I think is a good play. But on DraftKings, I played him last game, and I noticed the ownership. He was like 3% owned or something. I'm telling you, he has clear 50-plus fantasy point upside. So even at 7,900, I like him quite a bit. He's by far my favorite play on the Clippers. Next would be Ibaka Zubac, who has looked good too, and is crushing it right now. Guarantee you, the Clippers want to win this game. I think they've won 6 of 7 or 5 of 6. So I think the Clippers will come out ready to play, probably win this game. And I think Jackson and Zubac will have a big role in it. So those are the two guys I'm looking at for the most part.
The likes are looking good, by the way. They're already at the 245. So even before we got the hoop here. So I'm sure they'll push it home. We'll be getting out those plays of the day. Hoop, is this a game you're playing much of? I don't feel like you are. I feel like you're just going to tell me Clippers are kind of too much, but I don't hate Zubac. And then, I don't know, it's just hard to put your finger on what to do with the Lakers. I mean, Malik Monk is only 4.7, and it seems like they're starting to use him a little more. And I think he can get there, but I do think there's risk with him. But what's your thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, I mean, on the Lakers side, I mean, obviously the team overall is a disaster. Fantasy wise, Malik Monk, I think, is a play. I mean, they need a guy like Malik Monk. They need, Russell Westbrook to put his ass on the bench, and you need guys like Malik Monk out there playing a little bit more. Even like Horton Tucker, switch something up. It's not working with Westbrook out there. I mean, he's just a disaster. So yeah, you see things trending up for Monk. Played the 40 minutes last time out, was very productive. Definitely take a chance on him. I mean, there's no reason for them not to play him. I mean, probably the best scorer, outside of LeBron. Maybe you can, if you're into Carmelo Anthony, you could put him on the list too. But I like Monk here at 4.7. Clippers side, yeah, it's a little difficult with the price tags, but Marcus Morris at 6K, I think is a fair price. Zubac's been playing very, very well. I think the ownership has been low. I don't think many people are paying 6.5 for Zubac, so you can get him at low ownership. He only played 20, it was a blowout. He only played 25 minutes, 44 fantasy points. Dude's been crushing. So in tournaments, I think he's a fine option, likely low own. Reggie Jackson play, I don't hate in tournaments. I mean, this is a pretty big game, I think, for the Clippers. They're going to want to win this one. So I think they're in a close game. They're key guys, get a lot of run. My favorite guy on the side, though, is probably Marcus Morris. And then on the Lakers side, it's going to be Malik Monk.
All right. In DC, I got a tweet for you. Kevin Durant will start for the Nets, and no present minutes restriction. That's what Vaughn says. So I don't know if Nash still might not be coaching. So that was from Ira Winderman, the Heat beat writer. So he's probably listening to the press conference there. Does that change your thoughts on KD? Are you jamming onto some more teams?
I'll have exposure to KD. Yeah, I think I'm playing 3 main DraftKings teams. Probably try to fit him in on one. Maybe with Tatum, because I think most, that would be maybe the pivot that most people make, right? Tatum, I expect to be popular. Maybe some people want to get cute like me and go to KD. If you play them together, I think that will be a pretty rare combination. So I might try to do that on the team. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I said I expected is KD. We've seen this from him 3 or 4 times in his career. Comes back from a lengthy injury, and he is good to go. First game out there. So I do think that's the most likely outcome. That report doesn't guarantee it, but certainly makes you feel a little bit better about it, right?
So one more KD thing. But here's they said no minutes limit on KD, but they will be in communication throughout the game of how he's feeling. You're not getting anything with that. Yeah. And the slate's changed anyways. Yeah. Van Vliet is out again. So no Van Vliet here. OG is out too. So obviously we're going to like ourselves a lot of these Raptors. Hoop, give me your breakdown of what you're doing now with this Raptor situation.
Yeah, pretty much what we talked about during the game. Like, I think as it stands now, Flynn's a lock. Like, I just would not fade Flynn at this point. You know, if trade,
What about on FanDuel? 6,200 over there.
yeah, definitely not a must play on FanDuel. I mean, I just still consider him. I mean, that's a good aggressive price adjustment though they made on him. But on DK at 4-2, like as it stands now, the dude's a lock. I'll be going back to Siakam. I'll be going back to Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr. I think all in play. Then if Thad Young's ruled out as well, I'd consider some of these other bigs. But you got 4 guys that just got very substantial boosts on the Raptors side.
DC, you got a ranking for us here? I mean, obviously Flynn on DK. I think he's the best value now. And then it's like Barnes and Trent. I mean, it's tough. I've been playing more Trent than Barnes, and it hasn't been great. But I mean, it killed me the one day, obviously. But and Pascal Siakam, I don't know exactly what to do with him because he has been quite frustrating for sure.
Yes, he got in foul trouble and then eventually fouled out of that game against Brooklyn. But it wasn't just the foul out; he missed a significant amount of minutes before that. I think he shouldn't be in foul trouble. I mean, it's freaking Detroit. Like, so Siakam, I think if he's not in foul trouble and this game stays close, he'll play. I would set the number at like 42 minutes. I mean, same thing. Flynn played 43 minutes in regular. That game didn't go to overtime, that last one. So even 6,200 on FanDuel, I think Flynn is still a good play. And most, like, what will the ownership difference be? Flynn will be what, 60% on DraftKings, something like that, and I don't know, 10%, 15% on FanDuel. Looking at the usage, I think he can put up 40 plus fantasy points. I really do. So I still like him on FanDuel. And then, yeah, I mean, you can kind of play the price game a little bit. Scotty Barnes' price is up a little bit, 6,400 on DraftKings. I think he is fine at that price point. And then Siakam, 8,100 on FanDuel in particular, power forward, I think is a very, very strong play. So, yeah, you got to like these Raptors. Depending on the Trae Young news, the Jimmy Butler news, you could potentially play, I think, 3 or 4 Raptors on one team.
Yep, and we got Thad Young is out. So Birch is starting with Siakam, Barnes, Trent Jr., and Flynn. Yeah. And I do think Trent Jr. has been hurt a little bit by Flynn, more ball handling. In the past, it was like Trent Jr. was kind of...
This last game, Trent Jr. barely had the ball. It's Flynn and Siakam. So he's just like a pure shooter right now.
Yep, definitely worth mentioning that. Let's run over those plays of the day, though. We got 254 likes, so we got it home, 443 watching. We appreciate that. Also, subscribe to the channel. Check out all the content that we have going on over here at Run Pure Sports. You'll get notified when we go live. Hoop, let's go to you first. Who's your guy here? Who is your play of the day?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Siakam. Talked about it during that breakdown. Kind of just run bad, I'd say. Like, Scotty Barnes goes off for 24 and 10 in the first half, and they blow out a team. So he only plays 30 minutes. Runs into foul trouble last game. Typically not a guy that has foul trouble issues. Actually, pretty close to a triple double as well. Had the points and then 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And there's no guarantee he would have got there. He probably would have got there on the double for sure if he had all his minutes. So looking at probably like a 50 fantasy point performance if he has his normal allotment of minutes. 9-2 coming off a couple disappointing games. I think even with Van Fleet out, ownership could come in lower than it should tonight. So give me Siakam, Rich Parents play of the day.
All right, Pascal Siakam it is. DC, who do you got? Who is your play of the day?
He'll be popular, and normally I try to go with the off-the-board guy, but to me, no matter what news comes down, Malachi Flynn, the best play on the slate on DraftKings, 4,200. A little bit of a price bump. There could be a lot of value that potentially moves people off of him. I kind of hoping so. I think he is famous last words maybe, but about as close as a lock you can get on DraftKings. And the reason I wouldn't have chosen him if he was the same price on FanDuel, but I'm going to play him over there too at 6,200. I really like this role he's in. I don't see it changing. Love the matchup against Detroit. So yeah, Malachi Flynn. Don't be scared of that FanDuel price tag.
Yep, Malachi Flynn definitely going to be one of the better plays on this slate, no doubt. People will be all over him. I'm going to go to a different spend up. Let's go to that first game. Zach LaVine at 8K. That's a cheap price tag for the ceiling that he can have. I don't like spending up today for like some of these guys in like the 12K range. I see myself living more in that mid-tier range or like the second tier, right? Between that 8 and 10K range, maybe jamming in like 3 of those guys with some value plays. So Let's go with Zach LaVine. I think he's a pretty interesting spend up option. Gets the Atlanta Hawks, and man, like they're definitely a team that you can target defensively. I wouldn't be surprised to see DeAndre Hunter trying to stick on DeRozan a little more. Maybe that happens to yield over some usage to LaVine. So give me LaVine at 8K as a really good contrarian spend up option. But that'll wrap it up for us. We got the Up to Lock show coming up next. You got JSU. You got, I believe, BigT will be on that. They'll be breaking it down. Maybe even K Fallick. K Fallick ran really bad in that Millie Maker. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday. He had Jayshawn Tate on a really good team that was way up there, and he got hurt during the game. So if you don't get the takes from K Fallick on the Up to Lock show, be sure to @ him in the Discord chat. He loves when you ask him for charts, so be sure to do that. But that will wrap it up for us. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mangone, DC, and Hoop, we will see you guys later.